horse drifted alarmingly in the betting was, fancied in the morning, continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's not.
It's heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
And a very warm welcome to the Barstewards Inquiry Sunday Sermon. My name's Lee Keys of systembet.co.uk, and with me this evening to chew the fat, especially about this weekend's racing, is John Leng of John Joe's Blogspot and Lorne Marver. Chris, a good afternoon to you, gents. I hope it's been a good weekend. What are we saying about this weekend? Some amazing action in France, Ireland, and the St. Ledger, and it's where to start really. So I tell you what, I'll start with a quick 46 on YouTube, and this is probably the tweet of the week really. And he said, waited all week, he said, for Hitler's thoughts, and he comes up with a patent my granny or the blogger could have fingered. However, he did get in John Joe's ribs a bit, which is always worth a listen. Absolutely spot on, quick 46. Yeah, don't listen to Hitler. This is what we have to put up with. We put up with him all the time. But to be fair to him, as Ian Davis has said, he's given some big winners, John. This season.
Yeah, the bubbles burst now, though, haven't they?
But how soon you forget all those big winners, eh? He has one bad day and you're coating the poor bloke, honestly.
But
I'm a Hitler fan, obviously.
But were we surprised that he went all blogger, John?
No, it's always been on the cards. I mean, his name in his younger days, his nickname was Fav.
Fav. Yeah, I can see that. So we apologise for Hitler's performance, and we can also apologise for our performance this week, because apart from certainly a certain Bickley 14, Mr. Richmond, digging us out of the mire to stop us having a sort of a mare of a meeting, he managed to land the Portland winner. So thank you, Andy. Great contributor as always. Landed the Star Sports job with the NFLers, Andy. So good luck with that. So Mr. Ben Keith, etc. So yeah, and Andy's a good NFL judge. So that was nice to see.
Our job offers will start rolling in.
That's it. Yes. Come on. Where are you folks? Jesus, there's some expertise here. You're employing idiots.
Somebody rang me up last week and asked what's the care for him.
We should get him on to tip up a few NFL selections.
Well, I can tell you now. He asked me the other day. I did read his preview, and it took me about 4 days. And I got through it, and he's very keen on Buffalo outright, and he likes Buffalo to win over 10.5 games in this NFL season. So if any NFL fanatics, that's Andy's sort of nap. Buffalo to win more than 10.5 games in the regular season. He's very, very keen on that. And to be fair, Andy devotes a lot of his time to that, and he's a cracking judge, so who am I to argue? I just love watching the NFL, to be honest. And to be honest, it's just an excuse to drink gin until 4 a.m. and watch the late night games.
With
really,
some telly on in the background, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Whatever, really.
Station, isn't it,
absolutely, yeah.
Max the credit card out. Might
yeah.
Watch the NFL.
That kind of thing. So anyway, so good luck to Andy in that. Rob Jackson, he posed a question to us on Friday, but obviously we've got a very busy show. When you got the Hitler in town, you have to roll out the red carpet for the tank, and that's where we're at. So we were stuck for time to ask questions. But Rob Jackson asks, Lee, John, and the panel, who is your favourite British national hunt trainer? And dare I ask, Irish national hunt trainer? And do you think that Fat Gordon will have a win strike rate of about 35% in his first month back, seeing his horses have been left to drop in rating to gain more profit on his return? John, I'm coming to you on that.
Yeah. Well, favourite national hunt trainer would have to be Venetia.
Mental image, Tom.
Venetia in a bog, especially.
Mud resting.
I can see the fry. I can see the fry listening to this howling.
Venetia when the mud's flying, yeah.
Ooh.
Yes, when it gets mucky.
Fucking hell.
What? As in toaster heavy, or that kind of mucky, or
Yeah, something like that, I think.
storming up the hill.
Favourite Irish jumps trainer? Well, he ain't got many now, but for old time's sake, I'd say old Jim Draper.
Ah, right. Tim Draper.
Still got a soft spot for Jim.
Oh, Jim Draper. Sorry, yeah. Jim Draper. Yeah. I mean, was it he obviously Limestone lad, etc. Is that right?
No, that was forgotten what he's called. One of Jim's. But he's had a few nice old chasers and that, and he used to send the odd one over to Liverpool for the second mate and things. I dare say he doesn't know me now over the years. I quite like Jim's horses.
So what we're thinking about Fat Gordon then on his return? Is this going to be like a Super Yankee at Perth? Sometime in September.
Well, the way bloody snooze he's been training him, you'd think he could win 56 handicaps with half the bloody yard, wouldn't you? God almighty, he's coming back to some well-handicapped horses, isn't he? I mean, did anybody show where gallops were, or has he not been able to find them?
Yeah, it's strange times. I kind of get where Rob's coming from. I think we're talking Gordon probably coming back with a high strike rate, because this is what the racing game's about, really. It's about looking good, and he's probably thought, well, we can have some nice handicapping runs, and then look. Well, yes, Gordon's back in full bloom, and that's why Cheveley Park Stud can't be bothered to travel to Lambourne to find a decent trainer. They have to travel to Dublin, for their horses to be trained. But there we go. It's an interesting conundrum for you, but yes, we agree, Rob. I could see Gordon starting off like a house on fire.
Won't that be? I mean, I guess from a punting perspective, that's been picked up by quite a few people. So I'm guessing that's going to be factored into the market for a lot of those horses. I think everyone's expecting a bonanza when he gets back up and running. So maybe there might be value looking elsewhere in some of those races.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I think that's fair comment. John Stevenson's been on. He says if Racing TV can ever get membership linked to the website for everyone, so that people could actually use Racing TV Extra, it would not be so bad. But like a few people, if I want extra, I have to lose my tracker and start again. Now, I get John's point here, because we obviously subscribe to Racing TV via Sky, and what happens is you then have to set up a separate subscription on the racing. It's not all connected. You can't just type in your Sky number or whatever, and you automatically get accepted to Racing TV. You have to then piss about, and like John's saying. So if you do it through different means, either you subscribe online, then you go through Sky, whatever, it's not connected. So it's pathetic. And we had to jump through. So I agree. It's typical of a jockey club race course's setup, really. Absolute bollocks. So John, I'm in your camp there, mate. I struggled, and it took a lot of pissing about to get that set up. But don't know any of our listeners think to that. What about you? What about our panelists? What do any of you have problems with Racing TV and Extra?
No, not really.
No, not really. I mean, I suppose. Sorry, John. I mean, I suppose for you guys, it's more of an issue. For me, as just a sort of Joe Punter subscriber, it's not really an issue. But I can see your correspondent's point of view on that.
Yeah, they don't link them. Literally, if you subscribe to Racing TV via Sky, Good luck with trying to get Racing TV Extra from that subscription. You've then got to jump. You've then got to piss about setting up another. My producer did it for me because I was bored. So that showed how difficult it was. Anyway, listeners, get in touch with our Racing TV idiots. I think they are. 50 pence each way is beat on. And he said, it's your other account, isn't it?
Yeah, my troll account.
Your troll.
Yeah, got millions of them.
He says, I don't know if it's he, that's a terrible assumption, especially in this day and age.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Who cares about build-up? Let me see replays of the race from different angles afterwards, right? John, I'm coming to you on this. Is it about the build-up to get people to bet and encourage people to bet, or is it about let me see the replays of the race afterwards in more depth? What's the balance all about?
I wish there was more available replays from different angles and things subsequent to the event. I think like when you go on the Racing Post site, it'd be nice to get a view from behind the pack, things like that. Obviously, everything's got an attendant cost these days. You'd think that for the good of the game, Racecourse Technical Services would be able to provide things like that to the post, but it never seems to work like that, does it?
No.
I mean, the actual live camera work on races that are televised on terrestrial television, particularly, are very poor. I mean, this zoning in so you can see right up the nose of the leading jockey and things like that. It's no help to in-running punters. It's no help to anybody that's trying to analyse a race. I mean, there's a fine line between what people that's having a bet want to see and what your casual viewer might say, oh, isn't that, but you're not getting anything back for isn't that a lovely picture other than maybe an award that you could well do without at the end of the year, for best camera. It's not good at the minute for people watching or reviewing racing seriously.
No, I mean, Chris, do you think John Hines has added to this and sort of said, what is your ideal Saturday in terms of number of meetings, race times, etc.? He thinks we should have a clear gap before a big race for a nice build-up to obviously encourage betting. My own view before you give yours is that Saturday, I think, is terrible in terms of racing TV. Sometimes end up with 6 meetings on a Saturday, and if you're watching on a 20-inch TV and they happen to go 2 or 3 split screens, I know they're trying to help with race times, but you get no build-up, you get no after race analysis. I just think it's really, really poor, and I just think that that's not selling the product, because before they've time to talk about the end of a Group 3, they're then off to somewhere else for a £100,000 handicap, and they're going in the stalls, and you've barely talked about any of the runners, and I just think, how is that selling the product or making people wanting to go out and have a bet?
Now, I agree entirely. I mean, I agree with John's point that the angles and the actual visuals aren't really conducive to analysing a race. But I do agree with John as well, in the sense that the build-up is absolutely critical to generate anticipation, because the whole of the product is funded by people betting. So I think you've got to give the feature races at least plenty of time to build up interest and to encourage people to have a bet. It's all about showcasing the sport. But in terms of coverage, pre-race coverage, the only coverage that I'm interested in seeing, actually, I want the coverage from the weighing room before the evening meetings at Wolverhampton in the winter, so I know what's going to go on. That's what we want. We want hidden cameras in the weighing room to find out who's going to be winning That's the one that would really be good, wouldn't
The
it?
big
More
waiting
people
room,
together.
the waiting room info text.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want. We want to know.
I'm making it tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll drop out and you come through and just do me on the line. That's the sort of coverage we want. And I think you'll find people will appreciate that sort of coverage. But I dare say that's a few years down the line. But no, the serious point is, you've got to sell the product. And you're right, back-to-back races. And it's laughable that you get a group race where you get 30 seconds of post-race analysis before they go and have a bumper at Sligo or somewhere. So, it's the BHA, it's the planning, it's just nonsense. But if you want to encourage people to have a bet, you've got to build up and make a lot of the big races, but from a betting angle, not the story angle or the usual
gin
rubbish. Yeah, exactly.
Gin mixers and things like that.
Yeah. It's about building anticipation. So I agree with all of those points, actually.
Yeah, and just to expand on that, I would say my ideal week in terms of enjoyment, because I agree with actually trying to push Sundays as a better day for the sport. I mean, I've owned a bit today because obviously there's so much action. France, Curragh, then we've got they're doing the Sky Bet thing, the Haydock thing that's going on as we record, and there's so much to go at. Again, I'm not so sure again that this is so wise. I'm thinking sort of going back to old school, 2 on a Monday, 2 on a Tuesday, 3 on a Wednesday, build it up towards a weekend feature. So 2, 2, 3, then maybe 4 Thursday, 5 Friday, 5 Saturday, and maybe 3 or 4 on Sunday.
Yeah.
And make the Saturday and Sunday the sort of centrepiece. If that's the route we're going down, you can't have 6 and 7 meetings on a Monday.
No.
I mean, like we've had this summer, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, if you look at some of the Sunday cards, not recently, a couple of weeks ago, you got 2 meetings, they're dreadful. Dire, you've got a bit of summer jumping and a very small card up north. And you think this is the day when people, in theory, have all the day to themselves. It's devoted to leisure. Why not make more of the Sunday rather than having a sort of a summer jumping card and something awful? Track?
So punters know where they stand, John.
Yeah.
Would you not put all the sort of 0 to 55s, 0 to 60s, 0 to 65s on a Monday and Tuesday?
Well, it'd be a fantastic thing, wouldn't it? Really?
Because who's watching?
Well, nobody's watching. That's the problem with those races.
I mean, no.
You need to have them.
Yeah. Of course you do, because you've got a big horse population. So, Monday and Tuesday, you could possibly have, 3, maybe even 4 meetings, and for a fact it's 0 to 65 Monday, Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And it stops this nonsense of having Sunday meetings with scrap, and it stops this. And all of a sudden, you're building your product up. The punters know it's a build-up. Monday, Tuesday, shite. Then it's Wednesday, a little bit better, and Thursday, we've got a Saturday. We've all heard the term, haven't we? Saturday horse. We've got a Saturday horse. Fantastic. There's a reason why you say Saturday horse. Well, it's no good having 0 to 55s on a Saturday.
But to play devil's advocate, I'm in the same camp. We all hear moan when they move the Derby to a Saturday or the Ebor to a Saturday. We say, it should be midweek. That's how it's always been. I'm probably as guilty as anybody. But I think my gut feeling is, the weekends where people have time for leisure, that's where the Premier League play football on a Saturday. They always have. Why? Because that's when most people have got the time to go through the gates or watch it. So why not race it?
There's argument, like you say, as well, to sort of move to Sunday in these modern times for racing, because, like the Premier League, like you just said, as mostly, it does have Sunday as well, but
sure.
But the thing is, racing does get a lot of coverage on Sunday. Today I would imagine it's got a lot of coverage.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we probably need to aim at in modern times, even though I'm a big Derby on Wednesday advocate. I loved it. People took a day off. Normal people took part in the world's greatest horse race. And I think we've lost that over time. It's a fascinating topic, John. Thanks for the question. We're going to move on now to the racing angle for this weekend, and we've had a question regarding what we think to Hurricane Lane's St Ledger performance on the Saturday in terms of rating from Nick the Nipper. He was interested how we'd rate them. And John, I'm going to come to you. Hurricane Lane, St Ledger. What was the rating?
I gave him 117 plus. For the Ledger, I thought second, third, and fourth pretty much hit the marks in the main, and distance-wise, you'd struggle to give him any more than that. Obviously, I'm sticking the plus on because I think if he'd come under pressure, I think he'd have found a bit more. Not sure how much, but I'd hazard a guess he'd probably top out at around 120.
Yeah, really fair assessment, and one I wholeheartedly agree with. I do feel that Hurricane Lane is, like Nick Davis said. Nick Davis made a point for Moho Star in the Bar Stewards preview, and to be fair to Nick, he's not really far wrong. He's just, Hurricane Lane put the St Ledger to bed, really, not through like gritty stamina. He put the race to bed through an absolute burst of pace, and the race was done. Sort of 2 out. That was it. Finished. Thanks for coming. And so Nick Davis, he come out of the race with the correct sort of scenario. He said the Hurricane Lane had the speed, Moho Star potential, but obviously Moho Star just doesn't have the class or the engine to beat Hurricane Lane. And I was chatting to John off air, and we sort of came to the conclusion that if you put Hurricane Lane, Adayar, and Manobo, the impressive St. Cloud winner.
Yeah.
Interesting betting on that, Chris. What will we be saying for the betting on that?
I'm a big Manobo fan, as you know, and I'm going to be an after-timing trumpet merchant here. When I messaged you, I thought the evens earlier in the week, the night before, that horse was free money. And it made you wonder, is there something wrong with it? Because ultimately, I made that sort of a 5-2 on chance, and that was hugely impressive. You could argue that it beat Trees, but wow, I mean, it was in a different parish, and I think this horse is one to follow. Wherever they stick it next, I think follow until beaten, as they say, because I think that's under the radar. I really do.
Yeah, we've made no secret on Barsters what we think to Manobo, and thanks to Nick the Nipper and Dodworth Club. Dodworth Working Men's Club have hammered Manobo overnight before St. Cloud. They took all the dirty, absolute dirty, northern folk like they are. They've lined the pockets. They've left me with absolute shillings on the horse. Thanks Nick the Nipper and Dodworth Working Men's Club. I appreciate your contribution. Yes. Anyway, so he said blame us lot. I agree. So they were all on. They were all on Manobo to win that St. Cloud race at a very generous price. But again, fascinating. I mean, what a Coolmore thinking, John, here, right? So you've got Hurricane Lane, you've got a Dayar, a Manobo, and Galileo's spunk run out, John.
Is that the technical term? Is that the actual medical term?
The lads aren't in particularly good shape at the minute.
No.
We're a little bit worried about the shape of things at the moment. Sad sight when billionaires start struggling like this.
Yeah, I mean, the Sand Rats really have. I've got them by the Kahunas at the minute. They've probably got three staying stars that would probably destroy anything they've got, really. And especially
at the minute, Christ, he's got some kit.
I mean, as we come to Snowfall today, I thought in the Prix I thought that was a poor ride from the Tory. I thought it was a poor tactical ride. So for anyone that followed Blogger, etc., I mean, bloggers.
Well, once again, Norway, don't you think their overall tactics are absolute shite?
I don't know what that was to sit there.
And I mean, Ollie Dale setting that pace, it was absolute troll.
Yeah. I mean, Ledger Con, who is a very, very, very ordinary horse at that level. I know it sounds really harsh to say that, but the proximity of Ledger Con, who made the running, tells you how badly Snowfall was ridden today. And I know we sort of mentioned Tiona as the winner, and she's done it nice. She's quite nice, but obviously Snowfall I don't think it's really a turn of foot filly. She showed great stamina.
Like I said to you, Lee, I've struggled to give her a rating all year.
I have. Yeah, I agree. And to Ian Davis's point, Ian Davis, I don't think he likes her, and he prefers, he doesn't. Before today, he didn't understand the betting on the art like we didn't, John. And I think it's proven. What we're saying today is that maybe Snowfall would have won on another day with a better ride. What we're not saying, though, is there's no way Snowfall wins an arc.
No.
I agree with that.
And the betting's been completely wrong throughout the most of the season, but obviously she keeps hacking up against, I think, fillies that are just, well,
Well, that Oaks was the worst in living memory. She made out a giss, didn't she?
Yeah. And as we said, we mentioned about Tiona. She's a very buzzy filly. She's struggled to settle all year. She gets to the start, she gets to the muck sweat. Last two starts, she won at Windsor, and then she's gone and done that today. She settled a lot better, and I think what you're seeing is a really classy filly that's probably not far off Snowfall. And obviously, if Snowfall was only beating Tiona half a length in the Oaks, or all of a sudden you've not got a 5-2 favourite for the Arc or whatever she was. I just think again it's kind of hype, and you blogger how she got beaten, all this rubbish. I just don't think she's that good. I think she's a good filly, but she's not an Arc-winning filly, and I think we've seen that today, because Arc-winning fillies, even from that position, would probably, she finished a length in front of Lajacond from that. To be a champion, you've got to do more than what she did today.
There's a clear shift in power, isn't there, at the minute? Coolmore are in transition. Look at the results, and Appleby can't do a thing wrong. So I think this is a period where the balance of power is shifting, I think, for maybe a year or two until Coolmore get their act together again. So, but I agree with you. I think Snowfall, not for me, for the Arc at all.
Yeah, championing the pod again today was obviously we had a very good result in the pre-foy. With the Japanese horse. Again, a little bit of research, and anyone can do it. Just look on I looked on YouTube. I didn't know. I had to look at the Japanese horse to see what they were sending over. Big gait, really big stride. I knew this, and I thought to myself, I looked at the level of Japanese form, and I thought, how does Broome beat Deep Bond? And I thought, well, he doesn't. And I couldn't believe the SPs. Literally, I've been out for a liquid lunch. I didn't see the race live, but I just couldn't believe the SPs. Everyone was moaning because they say, "Oh, it's gone off like 15 on Betfair." And what are the Japs doing? The Japs normally swab the Terps. Where are they? Where are they, John?
God knows. That was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yeah, the third was the eye catcher, Irizine. I felt that was just out of its ground a little bit. But I did feel that the Japanese winner was a better horse than Broome, as I thought he would be. And I just didn't understand the prices. Bonkers. But anyway, it won't win an Arc. But, it showed its quality. It's what is it, a length and a half better than Broome, so it probably finished about 10th in an Arc. So I think that's where we are with the pre-foy. The pre-DL, I didn't have much opinion in. Any opinions in that?
No, not especially. I thought it was a power race.
Yeah, I thought that was the weakest. Of all the trials, really. Didn't really see anything there. Curragh today. We had just an amazing card. The Moidlair, the Blandford Stakes, the Group 2 Marner Quarter Fillies. Obviously, the pod got lucky with the nod on La Petite Coco.
On the nod?
Yeah, that's the game, isn't it? It wasn't the fact that she's a much better filly than Love. It was the fact I felt the prices were wrong. Love all summer's been running to 115, 116. Even in the Prince of Wales win, you couldn't give her much more than that. And you're thinking with the Group 1 penalty, so that means La Petite Coco's only got to improve £3, of which she's been doing it on the Billy Idol. You're thinking, well, how can she be 4-1, 9-2 this morning? Didn't make sense. And, fortunately, if you follow on the pod, we managed that one.
He's a good trainer, Paddy Toomey, isn't he? He's no mug.
He's a tremendous trainer.
He's no fool. I mean, he had quite a bit of bad luck yesterday. So obviously, but he's never far away when he doesn't tilt at windmills. He's no fool, and I think he's underrated by the market actually. So if it had been somebody else, it'd have been the baby Joseph. That would have been a sort of a 9-4 chance, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and then we had the boil over in the Flying 5. Not surprising, really. I mean, Glass Slippers always train for the Arc, and it's kind. I mean, Glass Slippers as she's run a fantastic race anyway in third.
I thought she did because she travelled fantastic in that race.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. I mean, get this sort of ground in the Abbey should be very dangerous against the Frog, I would have thought.
Well, I think that's it. I think you've got to look at the draw, and it's between her and the Frog who comes out on top on Abbey Day. I think it literally is like that. Winter Power, obviously, it did go for Tim's filly that day. As we've seen, I mean, Nick Davis was right to be concerned, but maybe she didn't show a form anyway there. But she is, for me, I think she's a York filly. I think that course just suits her down to the ground, blast off, and when she gets it right, she's fast. But yeah, so that was that. And then we go to the 2-year-old races, which I thought was very interesting, really. I was quite shocked to see Agartha beat when she had, she managed to get the lead, etc. I thought it was probably going to be over, and then I was quite surprised to see Jessie's discoveries go past her in the final furlong. I was disappointed. I thought Agartha would win after getting that sort of lead. So that was a disappointment for me. Any thoughts on the fillies?
I thought Jessie's filly showed a lot of guts there to come and win that race.
I mean, she's shitting winners at the minute. I mean, literally, she had an amazing weekend. I mean, there might be some carrots. Well, they could be. I mean, I always think that with Jessie's yard. They really do fire on and off. And when they're on fire, the weekend she's had, it probably no surprise. But then we come to the Vincent O'Brien National, and what a performance that was! And the one thing I'm going to take from this, I'm going to come to you, John, first, right? If you looked at look at the filly, look at the physical nature of Native Trail and Point Lonsdale. Native Trail seemed to have grown about 4 foot. It was a massive animal. It just looked bigger. It looked stronger. It looked as though it improved. God knows how much since when last seen. And that performance, it was nearly a second quicker than the fillies race. So that just looks like Guineas.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, he's run well enough to win a Guineas there.
Yeah.
I mean, the form's there for a Guineas winner. He's a good enough figure there, I think, to win a Guineas.
Well, when you consider that Ebro River, beat Doctor's M, you can put whatever level you want on that, but it's 4 lengths behind. Point Lonsdale has beaten everything before him. An unbeaten record. That's their champion 2-year-old. It is. There's nothing better than that they've got at the moment. And it's just slammed it. And it hasn't just slammed it. It's as if it was still a bit, I won't say green at the line, but it was like as if to say, well, what's this? I mean, if that ain't a Guineas winning performance, then I think you're struggling. You'll not see any maiden winner this. You could win a maiden by 10 lengths. I don't think you're getting anywhere near this in terms of form and time. A second quicker than the fillies race. So basically, you're already 5 lengths better than the Moidlare fillies winner. Well, if that trains on, and physically the way that's developed since July, I would say Native Trail. If you're an anti-purse punter, I think you need to get back in now. I know.
Well, it's Appleby shitting winners. I think probably got Al Zaruni back doing the feeding, haven't they?
Well, it could be. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, we don't know what goes off RE juice, etc. And we know it happens, and we know it goes on in the sport. But that's some performance.
Yeah.
Winning that by 3.5. Yeah. I mean, it was just a cracking weekend's racing.
I see Godolphin went to just shy of €1 million to buy the half sister in August.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that is interesting.
There you go.
It's Arcana.
Why didn't you tell us beforehand?
That is interesting.
Like now.
That is interesting because that kind of. I mean, has anyone seen any anti-purse betting for next year's Guineas?
I haven't. No.
No. Let's dial it up now whilst you're talking. Let's see what we can find.
I think let's see if we can find some anti-purse stuff because I cannot see any other performance this season beating that. Now, I mean, it's 7-4 for the Dewhurst, is Native Trail.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll probably go for the Dewhurst, but if it were mine, I wouldn't bother. I'd just bring it out next year. Native Trail is 5-1 for next year's 2,000 Guineas.
Yeah.
There's nothing I have seen.
What would Point Lonsdale have been if it had won that like that did?
I would think it would have been 6-4.
Yeah, I agree with that. That would be mighty short if that had won.
Yeah, you can get 5-1 Native Trail for the 2,000 Guineas. That's with Bet365 and Paddy Power and Betfair.
Yeah.
I suggest if you like your anti-purse bets, things can go wrong. But if that turns up on the day, you're probably looking at an odds-on chance. There we go. Native Trail. Can't argue it on time. Can't argue it on form. Can't argue it on physical nature. So, because I think it keeps progressing. So, that could be a bar steward's bet there. We've got the Cambridge Uncle Brid. We mentioned that on the sermon. That's currently a best price now, 6-1 from 8. I think that goes off shorter, to be honest.
I really fancy it. I think that is a really class animal.
I think you just need a bit of luck with the pace and the draw, and make sure you're not on a wrong side or a pace, but some kind of new market bias that you randomly get. And I think Uncle Brid can row in for us on Cambridge today. I thought 8-1 was big. That right. Anything else you'd like to add for this weekend, chaps?
I thought it was nice to see Sonny Boy Liston franking the Aber farm.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, this is the thing. I mean, we felt this year's Ebor was good, and I know for a fact John will be itching to see where Max Vegas plotted up next, because obviously John was like, he dropped through the floor, bless him, after Max Vega's running the Ebor. And I think everyone can see Max Vega probably would have. Yeah, I'd probably say he probably could have won. I mean, it would have been tight. It would have certainly been tight, and it was a desperate run. So I know John keeps probably tapping on Racing Purse. Max Vega, where's this one?
Yeah, in the Johnny Cup, you know.
It's probably.
Fucking hell's he doing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Max Vega. I mean, could it be? Has he got it entered up anywhere, John?
Not as far as I know, not at the minute.
Yeah.
My only point would be, and I think this will resonate with John. I think he put a tweet out, if not today, then yesterday. Is who on earth wants to be an owner with David Simcock? You know, who pays the bills? Just extraordinary lack of. It's not that he's got a lack of ammunition, because obviously that's excusable. You know, some trainers just don't have the ammo, but this guy has got well handicapped animals, and he just underperforms, not just by a bit, but massively. And I just don't know how owners stand for that. I mean, you know, I could be wrong, but they're just ridden almost without exception, the wrong way. I don't get it. I just don't get how he still gets support from big owners. Unbelievable.
Well,
Mystifying, isn't it?
It is mystifying, yeah. Baffling, actually.
well, Jeremy Gask was a very decent trainer in Australia, and he's gone back to Australia.
Yeah.
But I mean, when he come over here, he literally held everything up. In fact, it was so funny. Honestly, it doesn't matter what it was. It didn't matter what race it was. It could be 5 furlong. It could be a front running course. It could be quick ground. He would hold it up last or the next to last and come with a late withering run. And he wondered why he was on 2%. Couldn't understand it. Couldn't understand how he couldn't train winners here and could train winners in Australia.
Baffling.
I mean, these chaps are just like baffling mentally. And it's the same with Simcox. Every single horse he has is taught to just drop out last and come with a late withering run every single time. You've got to be. I mean, there's no wonder he's losing horses. There's no wonder the man is losing horses, because you've got to be some kind of imbecile to think that's how every horse has got to be ridden. It's the same as the kilt. Every horse doesn't have to make the running. The best trainers for me are the ones that can spot the characters and what they probably want themselves. And look at the horse individually and say, well, this horse can quicken, so we don't want to make running with this. Right, okay. But Johnston won't. If Johnston had got an horse that can quicken, he'd just think, well, make running anyway and quicken off at front. But,
Exactly, yeah.
But that's what you're dealing with. And Simcox the same.
At least with Johnston, like 80% of the time, the front's probably the handiest place to be, and so he gets gifted a lot of races. But I mean, any perusal of any sort of stats would tell Simcox that he's pissing into a fast 10, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Is it lazy, or is it the lack of understanding, or they just can't be bothered? I can't fathom it. But I just quid a month. I don't know.
Chris, I just think some trainers do not like to lead. They always like to teach the horses to settle, to be able to quicken up, and I think that's how a lot of trainers think. But good luck with that. You just by all means teach a horse to settle. No one's saying, but you can teach a horse to settle and get a lead and sit second or third. You don't have to sit last.
But sometimes you got to win, haven't you? That's what the game is about.
Exactly that. And I hope. I mean, if someone knows Dave Simcox that listens to this, point into this podcast, and we'll double his strike rate. We'll double his strike rate. This is the question. Absolutely. Yeah, he will. He'll say that. But
get him on. I'd love to hear his reasoning for everything sitting last.
Yeah, I would. I just say, how can you do that when you can see the stats, you can see everything else, how racing works on tracks, on you ride the same at every track, every different venue. It's Spencer on or it's Haley Turner, and it's drop them out, do nothing.
I get it with the younger horse, yeah, I buy that, teach them, but he's teaching like 7-year-old handicappers. I mean, how long do they take to learn? It's bizarre.
I mean, it's a shame because the man can train. I am not. The man can train. There's no question about that. But what on earth? I get it that you could send an horse up a 6 furlong gallop and gallop them at one pace. They probably come one pace animals, and probably Simcox teaches his horses to settle and quicken up.
I would suggest his tactics are costing him 20 winners a year, whereas they're probably gaining the kilt 60 winners a year.
Well, that's precisely it, John. You've seen how many of the kilts pinched every year. I mean, for his stats, I think he's a very poor trader as the kilt. I mean, for the horse flesh he gets, if you give that same horse flesh to, I would say, probably 70% of trainers in the UK, they would have a better success than Mark Johnston with his horses.
I think it's Spencer. I mean, I know people say, oh, well, don't back him then. Well, I don't, so I can speak freely. I think it's just sort of handing the tactics over to jockeys and do what you think's best. Well, we know Jamie Spencer tends to ride one way, and I think it's down to that. I really do. That's the common denominator, isn't it? Jamie Spencer, really.
Yeah, he doesn't do that when the money's down.
When Jamie's had $5 grand on.
When he was riding them things for Barney Curley that were getting punted sideways, They weren't sitting fucking last.
No.
That thing he rode at York in the tow miler at the Eber meeting, as soon as that was in a bit of a dodgy position down the back, he was riding it to get a better position.
Yeah, that's true,
He
actually.
does not have to sit pausing at the back, and he doesn't when the money's down.
No, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about the correlation between tactics and market support. But yeah, it's absolutely bizarre, and it's day after day after day. It's not the odd race where people moan and groan about, oh well, it's too far out of its ground. It's every race, and as Lee says, irrespective of whether it's 5 furlongs or 2 miles, he's going to be in last or near last. Weird. I don't know. I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but I have to say I haven't fathomed it yet.
Okay, folks, I'm gonna draw stumps there because I need some more gin to finish the evening. But also, I want to leave you all with a thought: Mucky Venetia. That's the quote of the show so far. Mucky Venetia. She could be in a wellies on the gallops when the mud flying. But,
would you have her keeping that hat on with the feather she wears?
And insist on it being on.
And a pair of green hunters. And
yeah. I mean, you imagine. I want to leave our listeners with a mental image of Venetia at the end of this show. Mucky Venetia. What's your mental image? Get in touch. That's all from me, John, and Chris tonight. We're back on Friday as usual with more absolute rubbish for the Air Gold Cup meeting of all meetings that we might tip Ostilio for the 48th time this season. We might not. We might say no bollocks to that. But anyway, we hope you enjoyed the show. We certainly have, and we'll be back on Friday. Bye for now.